You're listening to the Paul Higgins podcast for SaaS consulting partners ready to scale beyond six figures without more work or a bigger team. Let's dive in. Think your clients are too small to be targets? Cyber criminals don't think so. And if you're a Microsoft partner working with SMBs, you're already on the front lines, whether you like it or not. Hi, I'm Paul, and welcome to episode 618 of the Paul Higgins podcast. Today, we're talking to René-Sylvain Bédard, RS for short. He's the CEO of Indominus Managed Security. Now, if you've ever thought things like cybersecurity isn't really my responsibility, our clients are too small to be attacked, or we'll deal with it when it happens, this episode's going to flip that thinking on its head. You'll learn from RS why a massive 86% of cybersecurity now hits SMEs first, how Microsoft partners like you can actually simplify cybersecurity and turn it into revenue, and what a $500,000 ransomware recovery really looks like, plus how to avoid it in the first place. RS isn't just any security guy. He's a Microsoft infrastructure veteran who's worked with Bell Canada, Hilton, TMX, and now he's on a mission to help partners and their clients stay protected using only Microsoft native tools. He's also just released a new book, Security by Design, that finally makes cybersecurity understandable for non-tech owners. Want to watch the full conversation? Head over to the Paul Higgins Mentoring YouTube channel and watch it now. All right, let's jump in with RS, and he's going to help you with your cybersecurity. So great to have you here, RS.
Very nice to be here as well. Thanks a lot for inviting me, Paul.
Yeah, well, look, I met you through LinkedIn. We had a conversation, and I thought I've got to get you on the podcast. And in particular, if you're a Microsoft partner today, this is going to be music to your ears. But why don't we kick off with who is your ideal client and what problems you'd love to solve for them?
So basically, our ideal clients are information workers, right? People working with computers and with the devices. The solution we bring to them is, I'd say, peace of mind, literally. We shine a bright light where they're not looking and make sure that there's no cyber criminals or actually cyber threats out there. And if there's any, we clean them up for them.
Great. And in size of business, like, is there any
Uh,
characteristics around that?
we're looking between 50 and 300 users. So we're talking about SMBs, small, medium enterprises. And really, if they're Microsoft 365, we basically simplify security for them. We're a pure Microsoft player, and we use only Microsoft tools to bring cybersecurity within an environment.
And are they, if I look at sitting from a criminal's point of view, looking to attack a system, is it true that enterprise is normally more difficult to break into than SMB, SME, or is that perception not correct?
Well, the perception is correct. And if you allow me, I'll use a bit of an analogy. SMBs may or may not have a smoke detector, and they don't know if there's a battery in it. You go to the enterprise spectrum, they have the smoke detector, they have the sprinklers, they have their own alarm central, and they have their own firemen. You might be able to get in, but there's a lot more chances that you won't be able to start a fire, as if there's nothing that actually links to an alarm system or actually has the power to alarm people that something's going on. You have a lot more room to play.
Here, we used to play a game with my children as to what's the likelihood of getting bitten by a shark when you enter the water, and then we'd go into where the shark bites. And funny enough, the US has got more attacks than Australia, even though most people always think Australia white pointers don't swim. It's not the case. If you're coming down under, it's very safe. But using that sort of analogy, what is the likelihood of an SME getting an attack?
If we look at the numbers from Europe, basically from 2 years ago, which are just about the earliest number we have, 86% of all attacks targeted SMBs. Out of all the attacks there is, the majority of them were attacking SMBs. And you might believe you're too small to be attacked, or you don't have anything worth stealing, but those are basically limiting belief that could actually cost you your company. For example, if you're in business, it means that somewhere you're making money. And this is all they're looking for. They're looking for data and money. If you have one of those two, they're interested in you. And also, when you look at it from a cyber criminal's point of view, they're not selective. they will basically fish with dynamite, right? They will throw 100, 200, 500,000 emails out there, and it's basically whoever clicks. And then suddenly you show up on their radar, and suddenly you're a potential victim. So understanding that there's not many companies that are not targeted unless you're telling me, I don't have an email account, I'm not connected to the internet, and I work in a farm and we're totally disconnected from the web, then I say, fine, you are safe.
Yeah, and is that the most predominant attack? Is an email phishing?
It accounts for about 67% of all attacks. Most of them are using things like, for example, known vulnerabilities. So basically, you decide that you're not going to upgrade your computer, that you're not going to put the latest drivers in, or that you're not going to reply to that security update you just received. You're basically leaving doors open. And all this email, this click, or sometimes through social engineering, if they're able to get their hands on a keyboard or hands on the system, then they just go hunting for those vulnerabilities.
And I remember you said that sometimes it can be over an extensive period. I think there was a major attack where they waited
Yeah,
quite some
totally.
time. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
It takes them an hour 12 to basically install themselves, right? At that point, stage one, when you click on something, there's an hour 12 period that you can actually react before they've deployed themselves in your environment. And after that, they have all the time in the world. So they will take the time to investigate your company, to read your financial statements, to see how much money you have in the bank, to see if they can take control of the accounting officer, making sure that the controllers see the books, see what's happening, see. And then when they feel ready, they might have actually extracted your data to the dark web and have it for sale to run some extortion economics on you. And then they'll just drop what they call their payload and freeze everything. Can be 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, whatever time they take to actually go through your company and see what's the potential for them. They'll come in informed, is what I'm saying.
Right. And what's the most likely escalation process? So when you first get contacted, how quick does it escalate once they first contact you?
Oh, usually they contact you once they're through. They're at the end of their process by the time they contact you because they've already frozen your assets. And it's basically, here's the ransom, here's how much money we want. Usually about 80% of what's in your bank account or what's available to you. And then at that point, as IT cybersecurity, we're going to try to de-escalate from there
Yes.
and try to negotiate. If no data has been extracted, if you've been lucky enough that no data has been extracted, then you can choose not to pay the ransom and actually stop them and rebuild. But it is not an easy process. It's 6 to 8 weeks of hell at a minimum.
Yeah. So prevention is much better
Much
than
less costlier and
yes.
also easier. I mean, it's easier to stop an attack if it's only on one desktop versus all of the device in the company,
Yes.
right? You might have somebody that's going to lose its data or lose its workstation, but that's where it's going to end because we'll put automation in place to actually come and isolate that machine.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, I know that you've been doing this since 2023. So tell us the moment you decided to move from being a Microsoft partner into supporting end clients and Microsoft partners with cybersecurity.
I've spent all my professional life as an IT architect. Here I am running a successful business. We're doing a couple of $millions in consulting at a time. And I walk into this CEO conference with a productified version of my architecture transformation plan. We called it Blueprint for Modern IT. It was a great process. I could walk into any company that wanted to digitally transform and actually plan out their IT over the next 5 years so that it would have something harmonized, easier to manage, and get the real ROI out of their IT. And I go around and I talk about it with 40 CEOs. Zero interest. Nobody wanted to hear anything about it. And so on the third day, I walk on stage and I'm giving out an actual conference on a cyber incident that happened at D-Box. And so we're actually explaining, what's the process, what happened. And the customer actually says, yes, this is what happened to us and so on, throws out numbers and everything. And I see 150 CEOs in the room and they're all shaking. None of them are impassive or poker face or anything. They're all scared, literally. And they're still talking to me about it today. And it's been, 2 years and a half. So at that point, we sat down with the management and we said, okay, this is working. but this is where the need is. And that's when we analyzed everything and we said, okay, we don't want to do this for the enterprise because they're already taking, this stuff seriously. We need to help the little guys, those small businesses that still have great potential. It's a lot more work to approach each and every one of them, but we get to actually do what's right, do what's good. And that's where we came up with the vision and the mission. The vision is that we want to eradicate cyber criminals by within the next decade, so 2035. And the mission is to help those who can't help themselves. We want to stop the bullies. We consider cyber criminals to be bullies. Therefore, let's go ahead, use our own powers to stop them.
What percentage of Microsoft partners dealing with those SMEs, SMB, depends where you are in the world as to what that is. But let's say the 50 to 300 employees or users, as you said, how many Microsoft partners would have in-house capability versus not from your experience?
I have a couple of numbers on this. So in Microsoft Canada, for example, 75 of the cybersecurity experts that do provide services, I am the only one targeting the SMBs. And when I look at a country like Morocco, for example, of all the Microsoft partners that exist over there, only 20 are doing cybersecurity. So we're seeing that it is a niche, and it is not, quote unquote, the favored niche. People would go for modern work. People will go for business or business apps, or will go for Azure. Cybersecurity is kind of a lonely child.
Right. And so how does it normally work? Take us through an example of how it works with a Microsoft partner helping them support their client before, preventative, before attacks ever occur.
The way we do this, we have a 1, 2, 3 approach, which is we've simplified expressly for SMBs, and it works great with partners as well. In our case, we walk into a customer and we do a gap analysis. That's the first thing we do. It's rapid, it's automated. We call it Spartan Scout. And we basically go and validate the various Microsoft 365 environment configurations. From there comes out a report. Here, partner, here's the thing that should be fixed in this environment. You might go and see your customer and say, we'll drive more business for you. Then we deploy what we call Spartan Towers, which is a managed instance of Sentinel, where we bring in our IP, we bring in our business intelligence, and we deploy that within the customer's tenant. So the data never leaves the environment, except to send us alerts and metrics, but all the telemetry stays there. Last step, the customer tells us which sensors do you want to deploy. Do you want us to protect your Microsoft 365? You want us to protect your identity, your devices, your servers, your cloud devices? All of those are different modules. And basically, when a partner brings us into one of his customer, what we do is that we turn around and we give them out 20% of all the sales for the first year.
Gotcha.
So that way, we make sure that it's worth it for them.
Yes.
And also we leave them all of the, let's call that upsell from licenses. So if they're already a Microsoft partner, they're already reselling the licenses, we basically provide them with a list of the new licenses we need to support the customer. And that's a direct upsell for them.
Great. And when you said, you take whether it's 365 or cloud or whatever, like you got your components of the ecosystem that you're protecting. How often do people do all of it versus, the critical components of it?
Nobody does all of it because we also, for example, support IoT, and fairly rare are the people that have from firewall to IoT and want to protect everything.
Yes.
Most of them will do between 4 and 6, depending on what happens. But here's a good example. Everybody has a DNS. Everybody has, if they have a site, they most likely will have a firewall that they'll want the logs to be linked into. They have a Microsoft 365, which needs to be incorporated. They'll want to protect their device. And some of them have servers. Oops, here we go. We have 6 already.
Yes.
Right. All we're missing now is, do you want us to protect your data and do a purview analysis and make sure that we protect your data? And do you have IoT to protect? But most of the other blocks, most people take.
And a range, what's a range of what it's going to cost to get the 4 to 6 secured?
Okay. The base entry level is Spartan Guard. Spartan Guard is our device protection. We're at $9.99 Canadian per device per month.
Gotcha.
That's in Canada. Put in the equivalent in US, put in the equivalent in Euro. We can support those devices, those currencies as well. And then we turn around and we look at an average for all those 6 services. If you exclude the firewall, we're at an average of $33 per user per month.
Gotcha.
If the customer chooses to prepay for a year, we offer a discount. We also have a discount for prepaying for 3 years.
Okay. And is there, it's the per user, is there also an upfront, service cost on top of that?
The only upfront service cost is the discovery. So
Yeah,
the discovery will range between 2,500 to 15,000, depending on the size of the business.
gotcha. I know this is a bit of a piece of string question, right? But what's an average attack costing an SMB 50 to 300 seats?
Anywhere between 600,000 and 1.2 million.
Yeah.
I mean, the lowest one I've seen so far was a 30-person engineer, and it was north of 500,000.
Yeah, there you go. The numbers say it themselves. And how do you, or what's the best way if a Microsoft partner is listening to this today and they think, I've got a client that I know that I can't protect, I don't have the internal capabilities, I need to talk to RS. What's the best way that they approach you?
You can ping me directly on LinkedIn. You can send me an email, go through the form on the website. You'll find ways to reach me just about anywhere. If you go into my LinkedIn profile, there's even a button to book directly a meeting with me, and we'll be face to face in no time.
Great. And just a reminder, that's episode 618. So in the show notes, we'll have all of those links for you. So that's sort of I'm a Microsoft partner. I know that there's vulnerability in my client. I don't have internal capability. I also know that some clients now won't work with partners unless they've got certain certifications themselves. So take us through that and how that works.
So basically, since the Microsoft attack of 2023, where through SolarWinds, they were basically attacked by a partner, companies have come to understand that their ecosystem also needs to be secure. So that way, when you go into a bit of a larger customers, let's say customers that are getting above 300, well, when they come and they say, okay, we'll give you access to our environment, but we need to know what are your security standards. We'll need to know, are you device protected? Do you have a SIEM or a SOAR? Have you done an intrusion detection test last year? Can we see the report? Have you fixed the risk? All those things together, basically sometime to 20, 40, 80 questions that customers need to answer, and partners as well. Some of them have the capacity. Some of them know exactly what they're reading, but they go, I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this. And that's where we come in and we can actually help them, getting secured.
Great.
And just in that same line, by helping them getting secured, we want to make sure that it's not costing them an arm and a leg. I mean, I'm willing for a partner that would actually come to me to be secured, and he has customers and he wants his customers to be secured. As we move along in the relationship and he brings me more and more client, I'm willing to reduce his bill to make sure that it costs him less and less.
And, I know that AI is you can't listen to the news. You can't do anything at the moment without AI. And, I'm always perennially tired because I'm watching too many YouTube videos on AI at the moment. How's that impacted the cyber security? Like, is it like if you look at, unfortunately, all the tariffs and everything that's happening at the moment, we're recording this in June of 2025 is sort of, and AI is taken from the environment, right? Like the environment was important, now it's not. Is it had a similar impact on cybersecurity, or is it still top of mind for people? I hope it's a disjointed question, but I hope you get where I'm going.
I can totally answer it. It is a blade, and each blade, can cut both ways. For cybersecurity defenders like us, it is a blessing. We can use AI to actually cut through all the noise. We can do research much faster. We can identify threat much faster. And Microsoft has, millions of line of machine learning ahead of time that allows them to deal with this. I think they're up to 75 trillion signals per day that they're treating. Without AI, that would not be possible. Blessing.
Yes.
On the other side of that same sword, you have better smishing, and everything now is contextualized culturally, doesn't have any mistakes. It looks like the real thing. They're feeding an actual email from DocuSign so that you will produce a fake email from DocuSign with exactly the same colors, same settings, everything. It is getting harder to actually identify. I've even seen a phishing campaign based on radio publicity that was running at the moment. So you have a public campaign that does actual real work for a company, and they're using that to do a phishing campaign. There's that, and I could talk about Black Mamba, which is something that was created in a lab, but it's basically asking AI to develop a malware that will bypass an EDR.
Right.
And I've read this morning that they're currently working on malware that would attack directly the CPU. At that point, the EDR must stop it while it's being delivered, because once it's delivered, it's too late. So when I'm talking about prevention, it's like there are new threats that are coming up, but you want to make sure that they don't get delivered at first before they do any real damage.
Interesting. I didn't really think about the fact that it can work on both sides for good and for evils. Yeah, and look, I think it's a quick example. You run a Facebook ad now, and then all of a sudden you've got what looks identical to a Facebook person saying that, you've breached the policy, we're going to shut down your ads, etc. All
And
spam.
you actually have to go out, look out what's the email behind that. Is it a Facebook email? No. Okay, you're spam, you're going out there. It becomes heavy. I'll say this, when you go through the actual safe link and the actual filters that are now built into Microsoft, it is impressive. The quantity of this just goes away.
Yes.
It's the good news with regards to that.
So two things. One is make sure you're doing all your updates, and the second is contact RS so that he can protect your clients, he can maybe protect yourself, and he can also help you win more work. So they're the three key things. Now, I know that you've just launched a book, Secure by Design, that talks about the simplicity of this, where, it can be overcomplicated. If you're watching RS and I on YouTube, you just saw the cover. Give us a quick snapshot of why someone listening today would want to read that book.
Secure by Design was actually done for business owners. It is a leader's guide to keeping cyber criminals out of your business. Secure is actually an acronym. In this case, it is for survey, educate, construct, unify, review, and evolve. That will allow a business owner to first understand what he has to protect. Just like when you're building a house, you want to survey the land. Now you're building cyber defense. What are you actually defending? I had business owners come to me and say, well, cybersecurity costs way too much. I've asked them to protect everything and it's $1 million. And I go, do you need to protect everything? And the question was disarming to them. They didn't understand. And to their heads, like, of course. Well, I go, no, I'm sorry. Your receptionist playlist does not need to be protected.
Yes.
This is the data that needs to be protected. And it's about 10% of all your data. And then educate. I'm putting that a bit on its head. I'm telling the company owners that they don't need to go ahead and actually train their users right away. They need to train themselves. Once they start implementing what they've trained, they need to train their management. And from there, they train their users because they know what to tell them. They've made the decision about what they wanted. They've made their decision about the policies and the actual content they need to protect. And everybody can understand the same thing. And it comes from top.
Yes.
The owner is the business model, right? He's the role model. This is where we're going. So if he decides cybersecurity is important, but sales is top priority this year, sales is top priority this year.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we go with the rest with construct, unify, review, and evolve.
Great. It's available on Amazon and also some good bookstores. What we're going to do now is pause for a moment, thank our sponsors, and then we're going to come back for the rapid fire. Running a SaaS consulting business can feel like a never-ending grind, hunting for clients, pricing your service, and delivering non-stop. But what if you had a proven system to unlock bigger deals and scale without being trapped in delivery? That's exactly what I break down in my free 3-system training. 1, the high-paying client engine, a lead gen system that attracts high-value clients on autopilot so you'll never chasing low-quality deals again. 2, the 50K customer lifetime value blueprint, CLV. How to position and price your solutions for high-value engagements without turning into a pushy salesperson. And 3, the scale without you framework. The simple steps to reduce owner dependency, offload daily tasks, and escape the daily trap. The Scale Without You framework. The simple steps to reduce owner dependency, offload daily tasks, and escape the delivery trap. These are the exact strategies I've used with top SaaS consultants to land bigger deals and scale past 7 figures. If you want bigger deals, better clients, and more freedom, grab the training now at paulhigginsmentoring.com/deals. That's paulhigginsmentoring.com/deals. Watch it today and start making bigger moves in your business. Ready for the rapid fire, RS?
Yes, I am.
All right, awesome. So 4 questions, 4 rapid replies. So the first one is, what are some of the daily habits that help you drive Indominus.ms?
I'm able to drive Indominus.ms because I get up at 5 in the morning. By the time I hit this at 7, I've already been up for 2 hours. All my relaxing and showering and everything I need to do is done, and I'm ready to hit the road by 7.
Great. The next one is, where do you go to find more about driving your own business?
Funny enough, I go to Copilot, I go to Perplexity, and I go to ChatGPT because those are the 3 enterprise plan that I've taken, and I'm able to actually get them to validate everything that I know and go out and get me all the data that I know and analyze it for me.
Great. If I could grant you one wish, what would that be?
That's a very good one. I'd wish for cyber criminality to be out of sight so that we don't have it anymore. We don't have that problem. I'd wish to be out of business because there is no more cyber criminality.
Brilliant. Last one is, been in the cyber space for a long time in the broad ecosystem, more specifically think since 2023. What do you know now that you wish you had known earlier?
I wish I would have known that sharing your knowledge brings you notoriety because, quite frankly, I could have probably written a book 10 years ago and it would have altered my timeline, would have altered my life. And for that, I need to thank Mike Reed at Then Global, who was the one who actually planted that seed into my brain. And he also wrote the foreword. And all of that concept of me being on a mountain of knowledge and being able to actually share that with people, that changed my life.
Yeah, well, someone once told me everyone's got a great book within them. It's just not everyone lets it out. I wrote Mind, Build, Live, Give whilst I was on dialysis. So believe me, if I can write a book on dialysis, you've got one in you as well. So take the challenge up from RS. But look, brilliant having you on today. As I said, we'll have all the links, etc., in the show notes so that you can go and do it. Or you can go and progress more. But I think this is a really important thing, and it's not something that you need to put in the too hard basket. There is a way that you can partner with someone for simplicity, like RS. So thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks a lot, Paul. Thanks for having me.
That was a must listen to episode with RS. So here's what to do next. Reach out to RS on LinkedIn, thank him, and ask him about partnering or get help locking down your clients. Forward this episode to a peer, especially if they're running Microsoft 365 but haven't really secured it yet. And seriously, don't wait for a breach to act. Simplifying cybersecurity might be the easiest $50,000 deal you land this year. As always, you can catch the full video on my YouTube channel, Paul Higgins Mentoring. I'll see you next time on the Paul Higgins Podcast. If you've got value today, hit subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and reach out. Let me know you've listened. I'd love to hear from you.